Good evening, everybody. It's been a while since I've been on. I'm not back to stay back, but due to some unforeseen circumstances tonight and the guests not being able to make it, and Sarah having some things come up, I decided to set in tonight for a little bit, kind of join you guys. It's been a while since I've been on, and thought we would sit here and spend a little time together, talk a little cryptid, talk a little. I don't know what you'd call them. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. I got Kaylee here with me tonight. Her and Sarah's been doing a fantastic job running the channel, doing everything on the channel. And like I said, I've been busy. I'm not going to be able to just to put it out there before anybody asks. I'm not going to be able to answer any questions to what I've been doing, where I've been, and what's going on. I'm only going to be able to discuss cryptids with you, the channel with you, and future projects concerning the channel. That will be the only thing I'll be able to talk to you tonight. Now, I promise in the future, there's going to be a full disclosure video that I will do I will explain everything the best I can, and then I will take questions from everybody. And it'll probably be more of I would say, a panel video, probably.
Yeah.
Probably more, probably be a lot of people on that video. But as always, we're glad to have each and every one of you here. Excuse me, each and every one of you matter, and we don't take anybody for granted around here, except for Sarah sometimes, but that's okay. I got the name Sarah and Kaylee still up there too. I'm going to be Sarah tonight.
He makes a lovely Sarah.
Yeah, I'll be Sarah tonight. So come on in, come on in. But yeah, we're going to talk about some things tonight. But first off, guys, before we get started, I would like to ask everybody out there to please say some prayers for D.A. Roberts. D.A. Roberts is in the hospital right now, and our thoughts and prayers are with him for a complete and full healing. We miss having you on, D.A., and we know that being on your show is not near as important to you as being with your family. And we pray for you for a quick healing, a complete healing, so you can get back to doing your shows and everything. So everybody, please keep Da in your prayers. Um, Also, another thing I got here tonight is I want to keep prayers going for Red Tick Hound. Please pray for him. And as a matter of fact, guys, I've been thinking about it. This whole cryptic world, it seems like within the last just few months, has become dark. There's been a lot of hate going around, and just a lot of demonic activities. And I think instead of, I think what we need to do is we need to pray for one another, not just, you know, go on with our daily lives when we do this. But the longer I've done this channel and been in this field, I've learned that there's just a lot of evil in this. I don't know if it's this subject or if it's this field, but there's a lot of evil. And I would just ask that everybody, if you're a Christian, pray for your fellow brother or sister or whatever religion you are, pray and for peace and, to watch over your loved ones, to watch over each other. I think that's important right now, especially the way the days are right now and the things going on in the world, that we need to look out for one another and to put God first in our lives, because I think it won't be long before every knee will bend and every tongue will confess. I think we're close to that time. But that's enough of my on that. Another thing I had is, if you would like to, guys, please check out our other channel called Wide Open Adventures. We got a lot of fun things going on over there. We're going to be expanding our growth with our animals and stuff. We've acquired some property, and we're going to be expanding out. I think Kaylee's looking at a horse. That's what she's been wanting, is a horse. So we've been looking at some things like that, and maybe some other small animals we might be bringing onto the farm and things like that. We're also going to have, in just a second, we're going to have Brooks on with us tonight, because she's going to talk with us about some of this dark-sided stuff that I think she may have more knowledge than I do in this, what we're going to talk about. But yeah, don't forget to to go over and subscribe to Wide Open Adventures. We'd love to see y'all over there. If you don't get enough of us here, then you can always get more of us there. And also, last but not least, don't forget to join Sarah and Kaylee on their Wednesday night paranormal channel at 6 o'clock p.m. I believe they're going to have a guest on this Wednesday, so it should be a good channel. Good, well, it's a good channel, but a good video, I guess.
Good video.
Good night, good live, something. But we're going to go ahead and bring Brooks in. Pop her up here real quick. Thank you very much, Betty. I've missed every one of you guys. I truly have. I do read the comments, and I am able to see that y'all ask about me and all that, and I really do appreciate it. Also, another thing I'd like to say, please go support Mountain Patriot Homestead. She has a great channel over there. She does a lot of cool things. I watch her videos all the time on my other videos. She's just she's talented. She does a lot of she'll show you how to save money, things like that. So go check her out, subscribe to her, support her. Very good person and a very good channel also. How you doing, Brooks?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We made it. It's a little weird right now for me to be live again. It feels awkward a little bit.
You're back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle. Well, a little bit right now. Yeah, I've been riding the computer a lot, and Kaylee and Sarah and my mom and a lot of other people. I can't take all the credit. They've been helping me, on this other project that I'm working on that requires a lot of attention and to get everything right, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Because when it's presented, you know what I'm talking about, that we want it presented right and we want it to hit home, I guess would be a good word for it. That's taken a lot of my time,
Yeah.
but it's well worth it. I wouldn't change anything for it. Tracy says our sound is great tonight. Good. We don't have no echo. I think we got that worked out, or Brooks worked it out. She done some tech diving, and I think she got that figured out.
Okay,
Let's hope so.
Go get my glasses. It's like
Kaylee is going to have to go
I'll
get
be
her
right back.
glasses because she can't see her hand in front of her face. She's getting old. Once you get to that 21-year-old mark, you start losing your eyesight. Yeah. Brooks, I was telling everybody just in the last few months that I've seen a lot of darkness in this community, and stepping away from not being on the lives and not being wrapped up in the everyday, I guess, gossip and turmoil and drama and all that. And when you actually take a step back and you look at it, man, you see so much darkness in this field, because in the other field, the other show that we do is it's a whole different atmosphere.
Yes.
I mean, like Mountain Patriot, she very supportive. I've known her since I started my channel, and those people over there are just so much kinder. Not saying that there's not kind people here, Big shout out to Dark Waters, and DDoS, the BDRP. Go check them out. Subscribe to them. Lone Star Paranormal, DAX Machina. All those guys, are good guys, but a majority in this field is so much evil. And man, I didn't even realize, and make no mistake, women and children are not spared
No.
in the drama.
Mm-mm.
It's sad.
Yeah. It's I think it stems from a lot of where these things, the cryptids and ghosts and everything, where it all comes from. There's darkness to them. They're not good.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
It
It's
it's terrible.
it's scary. It can be scary.
It can be scary. It makes you look at things differently.
Yes.
It even makes you wonder sometimes if the cryptids are what we should be more afraid of, or if it's the people.
That's true.
I
There's some
mean,
real scary people out there.
oh, I told Kaylee the other day, when I go to the woods, I feel safer there than I do dealing with the chaos.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean there's things out there that could eat you, but at least they're not going to pretend to be your friend before they eat you, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know your foe out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole different world for sure. Um, just really crazy.
It is. Uh, Later on in the show, if you don't mind, I want to talk to you about an experience you had that you told me about that about gave me nightmares for about 2 nights. That scared me.
That'd been funny if you got nightmares.
Scared
Did you
me
not,
too.
did you not hear what she told me? Have you heard that story yet?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, she had something.
Well, I'll hear it later.
Oh, you will.
I'll probably have nightmares.
It really scared me. If it would have done to me what it done to her, my gun
Yeah.
would be empty.
Well, if he can have nightmares on this, I'm pretty sure I'm probably not going to be able to sleep. 'Cause I don't think you have very many nightmares.
No, I don't dream much.
I don't either, but hopefully not something getting me or something.
If I do dream, it's not a dream I want. If I could have a dream, I would like a log cabin out in the middle of nowhere with a creek running in front of it, and you know
Just away from.
a woman in the kitchen barefoot doing the dishes. No, not really. But,
Gosh.
but yeah, that would be my dream to live out in the country in the middle of nowhere. I always said I want a house where you can drive by my house down a dirt road and you can't even see it.
Right.
Mine would be by a beach somewhere, like an island just stranded.
And see,
Yeah.
mine's in the mountains. That's what I always wanted.
I know. She could deer hunt right out her window,
Yeah, she was in the mountains just
Oh, yeah.
opening it
but she would probably
Yeah.
skin us if we shot her deer because I think she feeds them.
up. I don't
Yeah,
like Sarah.
Yeah,
you can deer hunt, elk hunt, bear hunt, whatever you want to do right here.
Oh, imagine a bear coming up to your window.
everybody,
Yeah.
Red Tick Hounds in the chat tonight. Good to see you, Red Tick Hound. Glad you was able to make it. God bless you. I hope you're doing better, buddy.
Yes, praying for you, Red Tick.
Yes.
Every day.
Uh, well, I guess we might as well start the show. Uh, we got 3/4 to a dollar in here, so I guess we can go ahead and start. 75.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in here.
That's what 75 means.
Oh, duh.
Okay, I'm just trying to help you.
I was just making sure you knew how much
Well,
was a high number.
since you cheated and everything in school,
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make sure you knew. All right. I want to talk about something I don't think I've ever even spoke about on here. I am doing a video on it because I found a lot of information on it after talking to Brooks tonight, and I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty scary. The black-eyed children.
Mm.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're scary.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to see one.
Definitely don't want them coming and knocking on your door.
Uh-uh.
No. And from what I've read, you don't want to let them in either.
Well, that's a good thing
Mm-mm.
we have people then.
Silver Bullet says, I talked to Bigfoot today. He said he's glad he lives in the boonies.
I talk to one every day.
Yeah, they call me the big cheese.
Oh, God.
But no, I was reading about them and I found something interesting. They said most of the black-eyed children are estimated to be between the ages of 6 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they were estimating them to be. They say they also act like they're either in danger or in need of help.
Mm-hmm. And always want to use the phone.
The phone, yeah. And they also say that they don't want to pass the threshold without you inviting them.
Yeah, that you have to ask them. Yeah, you have to say, okay, get in the car, come in the house.
And another thing I thought that I found that was pretty interesting about them is they say that once everyone either lets them in their car or in their house or offers them help or something, they say that they feel an overwhelming feel of dread.
Hmm.
So I guess once you do let them in, they feel like dread. Uh,
Right.
to me, that would be a negative force, I guess, probably.
I would say so. I've also heard people that have let them into their home. Uh, they've gotten sick, real sick.
Wow.
That's not good.
S- Yeah, not good at all.
They say the clothes that a lot of them are in are actually outdated clothes, like they're
Hmm.
from the older days.
Hmm.
They don't wear like up to date clothes, is one of their things they say to watch out for. Uh,
Also heard they wear hoodies. Some of them may wear hoodies.
I swear I'm not one.
Kaylee's wearing a hoodie, and she's got black glasses on. She got black eyes.
I promise I don't have black eyes. Just my glasses.
She's a black eyed child. But another thing I found I thought was very interesting is the first time that they say they were documented was in the 1980s
Hey.
in Texas.
Hmm. The story I heard about was from a man in Abilene
What
that
happened with
he
him?
well that he had to pay a bill or something, and it was late at night. It was like 11:30, about that time, and he was sitting in the car writing out his check, and that's when he got the knock on the window, and it was two boys, and they were asking him, to that they missed the picture show, the old term. The movies were real close by, said they'd missed the movie or something like that, and asked him if he could give him a ride. Well, when he figured out how late it was, the movie was already over. They shouldn't be out that late. Um, and he didn't want him in the car, but he found himself like trying to roll down the window and stopped himself. And they were going, "Come on, mister, let us in." And he finally got his senses and rolled up the window and drove off. But when he looked in the mirror, they were gone.
There was a
So
man.
he had a reporter friend in Amarillo that he had called and was telling him about the incident. So it was pretty creepy.
I think that's the guy I read about today. The reporter ended up having, I think, an encounter too.
Oh,
While yeah, he was investigating the children, and he ended up having a pretty bad encounter.
mm,
There was a lady in Houston, Texas. She was home with her daughter. It was just her and her daughter that lived at this house, and they received that knock at the door. Now, her daughter said that her mom went to the door, and there was a boy and a girl at the door. They were both wearing hoodies, and they were looking down. They had dark, jet black hair, black eyes, and they told her that they were lost and they needed to use the phone. The daughter told her mom, "Don't let them in," because she didn't feel safe around them. And the mom, feeling sorry for them because it was a rainy night, it was a cold night, she told them they could step just inside the door and she would bring them the phone to use inside the house. So she allowed them to step inside. Whenever they stepped inside, the daughter again told her mom, "I think that's a bad idea, don't be letting them in the house." And of course, her mom, feeling bad for him, she let him in. And whenever she handed him the phone, they just looked at each other and started giggling. And she said, "Aren't you all going to call somebody?" And they said, "Why do we need to call somebody? We've already found them." And she said, "This ain't funny." You need to
Mm-mm.
go. If you're not going to call somebody, then you need to go. And after all that happened, she was pushing them out the door pretty much because they didn't want to leave. And the girl, as she was putting them out the door, she scratched the woman down her arm. And
Uh,
the next day, the daughter came home and she found her mom hung in the kitchen.
uh,
Her mom, they said, hung herself. Uh, the daughter, a week later, was found parked at the park, and she had cut her wrists in her car and had killed herself too.
mm,
But how did that get to the daughter if the mom was the only thing that got scratched? Or did she do it because of her mom then?
Nobody really knows. I mean, I don't know why she would have done that. What Kaylee's got a good question. Do you think it's because those beings were in the house with her daughter, or do you think her daughter killed herself over losing her mom?
oh, I don't know. That's a real good question. Yeah, it could be either.
Because her mom was the only one that got scratched by him.
Beverly says, I wonder what would happen if you said the Lord's Prayer when you encounter these beings. People have said the Lord's Prayer. I did find that, and they do leave. Whenever they would say, leave in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, they said they would take off. They were gone.
Mm, right.
So that leads me to believe that they're demonic beings.
Are they
Mm-hmm.
actually like kids? Like oh, what is that word? They're like flesh, or are they actual?
Well, they appear as kids between the age of 6 and 16, and if she was able to scratch the
So they'd
mom,
be
there
solid.
would be a physical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if maybe they're. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna stretch out a little bit. I didn't really want to go into this right now,
My question.
but me and Brooks have talked about this, and we're going to do a show about it. I'm not going to go real deep into it, but I think there's a possibility. Possibility. My theory. Put that out there for everybody jumps on me when I say this. I think there's a good possibility that they may be the Watchers, and I'll explain my hypothesis. Because a lot of people that have encounters with the black-eyed children. Now, this is just a quick read I done tonight, just a quick research. They experience bright lights from the sky around their home, or they have had a UFO encounter, and then they
That's
end up
true.
seeing the black-eyed children. Well, my thoughts on uh, aliens is they used to be the Watchers,
Mhm.
and I believe that the Watchers have physical bodies. Those physical bodies can be killed, but because those spirits are not worthy of God, they don't go to judgment. They become disembodied spirits, pretty much demons. I'm not going to go real far into that yet. We're going to have a show, but what do you think, Brooks?
um, yeah, I think they can. I think they can take form, any form they choose to, whether it be good or bad. Excuse me. um, and I think as far as the black-eyed children go, they come as children because people are more uh susceptible to children, feeling sorry for children, would let them in more than they would an adult.
Right.
That's
I
my
mean,
opinion.
they if you look at familiar spirits, a familiar spirit to me is nothing more than a disembodied watcher.
I think that the disembodied spirits are those, from what I understand, are from like when the giants were here, the Nephilim, and
Right.
when they're killed, those are the demons. That's what I understand.
Right.
So that would be
And
a
I appreciate
disembodied
that.
spirit.
Nada. Right on. Nothing better than abnormal investigations. Y'all, buddy, from Coos Bay, Oregon. Good to have you here with us, man. Uh, so the Watchers, if they were the aliens, which that's what I believe they are, and you kill one of them, then they would become a disembodied
Yeah,
spirit
I would say it'd be a disembodied spirit. Yeah.
because they're eternal, but they're not worthy of heaven.
Right.
So there's nowhere for them. I guess they go to the dry places,
Right.
and we'll
Uh,
get more into that.
yeah, I think that they're God has, I mean, they're bound to the earth to wander the earth because they're not gonna go to heaven.
Right.
That's why I think you hear a lot of these spirits, on ghost shows and stuff like that. When they use the ghost box or whatever, they'll say, help me." Uh, but you can't help them because they can't. They're disembodied spirits.
Yeah, because didn't one of them even go to somebody at one point and ask him to ask Jesus if they could be forgiven? And
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said, "Not them, nor any of their lineage or whatever."
Right.
So
Right. They've
yeah,
already been their judgments already been decided. Yeah,
man, it's
it's
and to think
crazy.
that these things, are all around us, and some closer to us than what some might expect, huh, Brooks?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true. Um, you know, I think what these people see, the ghost hunters see in these abandoned buildings, and even in houses. I think those are disembodied spirits as well. They're like I said. I don't think that they're your mother, your aunt, your grandparent. They're not family. They'll pretend to be. They're deceivers.
Yeah, I think that they appear as something to bring out the vulnerability in you, your weakness, to be able
Right.
to get you to acknowledge them. To
And
you know,
trust them.
what is it? If you acknowledge them, you give them place, and if you give them place, then they feed off of that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people don't even think about it, but there's a movie out, and it's actually based on a true story. It's called Fire in the Sky.
Yes.
And that movie, man, it gives me the chills every time I watch it. There's also a documentary I watched the other night on it that has the actual guys in it, and that is a very good documentary. Uh,
Yes.
that guy, he is so you can tell he's so honest at what he's talking about, and then what really interested me is whenever he said the aliens were over me, but when I got up and I ran to the front of the ship, he says, I get there and there's a human in a suit. If you go back, and we're not going to go far into this either because it's going to be another show we talked about, but if you look at President Eisenhower, was it Eisenhower? Or was Eisenhower, right? And what happened with him, the humans are working with these at high levels with the watchers. And you go into the Bible, and the Bible even warns you, do not worship the people of the heavens, the gods of the heavens. Well, if you read the Bible, they are in all three heavens. They're in the middle of the earth, on the earth, and in the heavens, in space. So that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I think that, like they talk about dogmen, for instance, and if he lives inside of the earth, and most everybody that sees a dogman says they're a jet black color, but they're a black color like they've never seen. They're like really black. And if you think about it, if you live in an environment to where stealth is important, you adapt to that environment. So if they're that dark and they're that black, you shine a flashlight on them instead of getting that reflectivity off of them from a flashlight. They're going to absorb that light.
Mhm.
So you're not even going to see them. You're going to go right past them. And there was a night that my mom was outside talking to her sister, and I was up on the porch. And my mom yells at me. My cousin was there too. And we go out there, and she says, I don't know what it was, but something crawled from back behind the car and was crawling up toward her out in the dark driveway. And she said it looked like a bear. Well, of course, we got our guns and stuff and started looking around, and we were walking down the wooded line. And my mom was yelling at us, it's right there in front of you. And me and my cousin both, we couldn't see it. And we walked within probably 6 feet from it. And mom said it walked one way and we walked the other. And we never seen it. So
Mm.
that just shows you how close they can get to you.
Yeah.
What this guy, or what they say right here, you're scared, Jody, reminds me of Smeagol off of Lord of the Rings, hairless and pale. But whenever you get that close to something and you can't see it and you can't hear it, that's scary.
Oh yeah, I'd be terrified.
You know, the dog man at my granny's, I hear a lot of people talk about. People say, some of the dog men that they see, they say they had like uh, dog hind legs. They call them the backwards legs when they're walking bipedal. Um, I've never experienced that. The ones that we saw at my granny's, they pretty much had human legs. I mean, they weren't, uh, the dog legs that were all weird looking because you could see them, their shadows. They were,
Like stand up. Right?
yeah, they just walked like us, except for they were larger. And these weren't the muscled up type. I personally have not seen a large werewolf. Everything that we seen at my granny's, they were usually skinny. They walked with a hump in their back, kind of hunched over, and they had long, skinny arms. Now, the Bigfoot that we saw that was following my mom down on the lake, it was big. It was but it wasn't like this enormous 12, 14. My dad was 6'6". So whenever I seen it following my mom, we first thought it was my dad. So it was probably uh, 6'6", 7 foot tall. So it wasn't like it was so big that you look at it and you're like, oh my God, that's not human. And I think that's how a lot of these things get around because, I mean, if you're down fishing and you look across the lake and you see something moving through the woods that's human size, a big man, but still within the size of the human, your first thought isn't going to be, oh my God, that's a creature. It's another fisherman. It's another hunter. It's a camper. I mean, and I think they probably move around like that to where people don't even, you know what they passed.
Yeah.
Right.
You probably have no idea how many times you've been close to one of these, and you just never knew it because
Right.
the night that we was the night we was camping, Sarah's husband walked down to where we were at. He had moved down the bank from us. Excuse me. He was probably 200 yards, and he was fishing out on like a peninsula part. And we could see where he was at. It was a full moon night. He had a lantern lit down there where he was sitting. He walks up to us to ask us if we're doing any good because he's not catching anything. It was a pretty quiet night. And the next thing you know, we start hearing this weird, uh, like, whoop kind of. And we look down there, and you can see it. It walks all the way over to where he was sitting, turns his lantern down, knows how to work the lantern, turns it down, takes a drink of water. You can watch it drink right out of the lake. It walks off. So me and Chris, Sarah's husband, we run down to where he was fishing. And when we get down there, the lantern is still lit. It's just turned all the way down, but it took his bait. He had a bunch of perch he had cut up.
Wow.
So it walked up there, turned the lantern down, got a drink of water, and took the fish, the bait.
Well,
I wasn't there that time, but if I was there, ooh,
it was hungry.
Yeah.
that was just like free
Yeah.
food. It was like a free snack.
So if you smell fish breath,
Mm.
that's the one that stole his bait.
Well, they do say that they smell fishy,
Yeah, they do, and fish scales on cars
Yeah.
after they jump on them.
so don't. I mean, I don't like fishing anyway, but I would not cut up fish down there.
Kaylee likes to run jugs.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than fish.
Yeah, that's fun.
I've been working on something. I don't know if we're going to get to do it this year or not with the cold coming and everything, but there's a part of the lake that I found that I would like to take the boat to, and it's not very visited at all. And I would like to take the boat over there, do some research, and maybe stay the night. Get Kaylee and Sarah to camp it with me. But the only way to it is by boat. So yeah, and it's like nobody goes there.
That
Right.
is a hassle
Huh?
That would be a good spot.
Well,
because you have to lift it.
no, I'll just back you in there. You just get in it, and I'll back you off in the water.
Okay, your truck's gonna have to be submerged in the water.
Nah,
to come
we'll
out.
use it. We'll use the 4-wheel drive. But I would like to go there. I bet you we would find things that we're not finding where we're at. Been
Right.
a lot. I mean, we might find their bedding areas. That might be where they go to sleep, is across the lake.
Do you think that'd be more dangerous to go somewhere where they're like feel safe and like where they sleep?
Oh yeah,
I
than
would think so.
you're just, like wandering around.
yeah,
and it's
because
them?
that would be like their home.
Yeah.
I would think they would be more territorial.
Yeah, that's like their comfort, and they're not gonna expect you to just walk in there and be like, oh.
They'd be like, we don't have to hunt for food tonight. It came to us.
They'd be like
That's
that.
right.
That one Bigfoot movie that you used to watch, that he blended in with the tree, and that guy like walked right past him without seeing him, and he like turned his head. I didn't even see him until he turned his head.
Kaylee will never forget the night that thing looked her in the eyes.
No, I won't.
Mountain Patriots, they should go with y'all.
She'd probably be scared if she seen that thing that I see.
I don't know. She'd go probably.
I'd go too, Mountain Patriot.
It I think it'd be interesting to go to where where people don't go, and I mean we did find a what we believe is a home that one of them was living in. We plan on hiking back in there this year.
Gotta put on my boots for that
Boots are made for walking.
one. I didn't get bit by anything.
Where we investigate, we was talking about it the other day. The old city, that's underwater.
Uh-huh.
Even before now, when we go down there and we run into these cryptids and things, it just goes to show you how long ago they were down there. I mean, these people lived in this town at least in the 1800s, because the foundations down there, they have, marked their names on them and the date and stuff.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, there had to be things down there before they flooded that old town, because you have these old bridges that are still around here, and the names of them are, Troll Bridge and
Right.
all that. So they were having issues. And then there was another gentleman that told me a story about, he was driving one night, and while he was driving, he had lights just appear behind him on the back road down here. And he said, I thought, man, that car's catching me awful fast. And he said, so I drove faster and faster and faster, and it kept catching me. And he says, so I slowed down. I didn't want to get crazy on, gravel. And he said, I was like, I'm just going to let this idiot pass me. So he says, I pull over on the side of the road, and as it goes past me, he says it was a Model A with two lanterns hanging on it and a skeleton driving it, and it laughed at him when it went past him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds something like out of a movie.
Yeah.
The Creep Show or something.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, if that happens, do you keep going the way you're going, or do you turn around?
I turn around.
But if you turn around, are you going to go run into his family that's coming?
What's behind it? Yeah.
I mean, unless he's going the way that is his home, I
What,
guess.
what if they're following him?
Hmm.
Or what if they're walking?
Well, if they're going.
Like the guy that crawled over the bridge.
Hmm.
They would probably try to talk to you because they really aren't around nobody that much.
Well, if it's a skeleton, because he said it was a skeleton.
Get it? They're not around nobody that much. Skeletons don't have bodies.
Yeah, I know. Oh, just run him over. If you see a skeleton just walking on the road, just run it over.
Get a bone in your tire.
At least you try to make it out of there running over. They'd have to regroup.
I don't know what I think I would probably continue the same direction.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
And then if I saw something ahead of me, I might speed up.
Yeah, to pass it. Yeah.
Passing back.
Yeah. Hey, give him that wave.
Yeah. Yeah, like what Scott says, Jeepers Creepers,
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, if I can find it for you, I know where a car is. It looks a lot like that. I don't believe it's the same thing, but there's an old car that was left down there in the bottoms, and it looks a lot like the Jeepers Creepers vehicle. But I believe, if I remember right, my grandma told me it was an old laundry truck, like an old laundry van. But it has that front end on it that looks like the old Jeepers Creepers.
What's a laundry?
I guess back in the old days, they had a van that went around and picked up everybody's laundry. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
old
that's what
panel van.
I knew the milk truck, but not the laundry van.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Milkman got around a lot back then.
I went to everybody's door.
But yeah.
Well, talking about something passing you, I had a friend of mine, she's passed away now, but she told me this story, 30 years ago, and I had no idea what a dogman was or, any of that at that time. And she said, and she was going down the highway late at night, and she said she looked over, and running beside her car was, she said, the only way I can explain it, she said it was cartoonish, and it looked like Wile E. Coyote smiling, looking at her as she's driving and smiling at her, running beside her car.
And see, and that to me sounds a lot like the skinny dog man.
Mm-hmm.
That skinny. Because if you look at the coyotes and stuff, they're skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the coyotes, around here, they're eating either the baby calves when they're being born or roadkill. They're scavengers.
Mm-hmm.
I got a good question. I wonder if dogmen and werewolves have to worry about the mange.
I mean, if they're a dog,
And what about rabies?
Right.
it wouldn't surprise me if they all didn't have rabies.
Well, they always say, I've heard them say that people that think chupacabras are dogs that have mange because they don't have any hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've heard that, but I hadn't heard anything about dogmen or werewolves.
Now imagine if you were out camping, and this is my personal belief. I believe that all dogmen are dangerous.
Oh yeah.
I believe
Mm-hmm.
some are more aggressive and more territorial than others. I believe
Yeah.
some are smarter than others. And, like when you're in high school, you always had the jocks, and then you
Mm-hmm.
always had that one kid that just wasn't all there, but he was big and stronger than everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the jocks knew you can't just beat everybody up because you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
The big boy, big boy Troy, if you just look at him wrong, or sit in the desk,
Yeah.
or you eat his piece of cake or
Or,
sloppy Joe,
or don't give them the lunch money.
yeah, he's going to pick you
Right.
up and bend you like a pretzel.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think that happens in the cryptic world. So if you're out camping and you happen to come along this wrong time
Yeah.
and say he has rabies
The big Troy one.
and he's running around,
He gonna get you.
and if you don't die, you're going to get rabies anyways. But then, I mean, then if you're out there and say the big boy Troy, he's coming through there, and he's just mad because his mom kicked him out of the tribe for a little bit. He might just come up there, rip your buddy's leg off, and beat you with it.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah,
one.
I hadn't heard anybody say they've had a dogman come run up to them, wagging its tail at them, wanting to be petted.
Just wants a treat.
This one right here. We got a werewolf down here by us. She's all snuggled in and warm.
Got
But
the
yeah, I mean,
werewolf.
and a lot of times, you hear a lot of campers talk about. They say, "Hey, we heard something in our camp last night,"
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't hurt us, but it went through our food, and we was
Mm-hmm.
missing a couple of Gatorades, or a couple of beers. Now, that'd be bad. They get out there and get drunk.
Wait,
you know.
is it a dog man doing that, or is it Bigfoot doing that?
Well, I think they both probably would do that.
You think a dog man
Yeah.
or a werewolf is gonna go up there and steal some beer? Or
Yeah.
more like
Look,
Bigfoot.
this is the way I look at it. I think that a dogman / werewolf and a Bigfoot, I think probably are close to the same IQ. I think they have a very high intelligence
Mm-hmm.
because if you look at the stories of what happened at my granny's, Bigfoot said her name,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that went around the side of grandma's house that saw the werewolf, it said hello.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Uh,
both able to speak. And if it says hello, and I don't think, there's controversy out there. People say they don't know if they're speaking or if they're mimicking.
right.
I believe they're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard them say more than one word. I've never heard them say a sentence. It's always one word.
Right.
That's just personal experience. What I've heard them say. Uh, I think if, but then and again, you have to look at whenever my grandma was sick and she would ring the bell for help.
He would do it back.
It would
It was
also do it.
sound like the bell.
So they're capable, I think, of doing both.
I,
Uh,
yeah, I would say so. The thing about them talking, I mean, even as far as the Bigfoot, I mean, even the Native Americans at one point traded with them, right?
Yes. When I write down the Girl Scout investigation, and I spoke to the shamans,
Hmm.
and I'm talking like these guys are still living the old traditions. Uh,
Right.
you ask the chief a question, and it's like he's consulted by the others, and then they all agree upon the answer. Uh,
Right.
he says that Bigfoot is, well, I mean, they called them cannibals. So they thought he said they were human like so much that they called them cannibals because they ate the Indian children.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But he also said that they were different as they were hairier, that they called them disfigured. But they also said that they spoke their own language and they also spoke Cherokee.
Right.
And if they would trade. And I said, well, why did you all stop trading with them? And he said, because they were eating our children and stealing our women for breeding.
Hmm.
And, he said another weird thing about them is they would like take the children and pile them in huge piles out in the woods and it would stink terrible.
Mm.
They would eat what they wanted, but they also said that Bigfoot is capable of making fire and they're capable of using tools. And he said, you have all these archaeologists that are out right now and they're finding these tools that are found in the creeks and arrowheads and everything. And whenever they go back and they date them, they're not dating back to that era. They're made recently, but they're
Right.
still being used. So then
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself, what is using them? Is Bigfoot using them? Is the dogman using them? Or do you have feral people down there that still live in the old ways?
Yeah, that's interesting. But if it is a Bigfoot using them, I mean that they're not going to be able to get like a gun or anything else to use for hunting purposes. So they would stick with the arrowheads and spears and that type of thing. Because if they had guns and you heard them shooting all the time,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Be a drunk
Yeah,
Bigfoot with a gun.
yeah.
He coming to take all the women.
But I mean, but then it's another thing because if you think about it, how many times have they allowed us to leave the woods whenever they could have just put an arrow through us
Or ripped your
Hmm.
or a spear?
Right.
And if they're using stuff, their stuff is going to be larger, so their spear is probably not going to be like our spear. It's probably going to be like a
huge
like a
tree
tree
trunk.
with like a boulder on the end of it.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, that's maybe why they find such large arrowheads.
Could be.
Wait, okay, you said that a dogman has human legs, right?
Huh?
You said that dogman has human legs, right?
Well, some people say that they.
Well, what you've seen.
Okay, the dog man, what they say, correct me if I'm wrong, dog men supposedly have dog legs, and the werewolf is supposed to have human legs.
So, like, how? Okay, so if the dogman has human legs, would it have human-like feet like Bigfoot, or dog feet on human legs?
Well, I'll say this. I know that whenever I went down to the woods and I have found tracks that would be large enough for something to be our size or bigger, I've never found anything that didn't have 5, 6, or 3 toes. Uh, we have found large wolf prints,
Mm-hmm.
probably about like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which those, I mean, that'd be a big wolf walking bipedal.
yeah.
But for them to climb trees and do the things that they do, I would think they would have to at least have an opposable thumb.
Hmm.
So that's what I was saying. Like, if Because you wouldn't know if they had like human like feet and like hands. How would you know if it was like a wolf or a Bigfoot that was
Or,
following you if you seen the tracks?
or they could have dog back feet and human like front feet.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could have human legs and dog feet.
Yeah.
We don't know. That would be
Yeah.
kind of.
I mean, that's good questions, Kaylee.
Thank you. It just popped into my brain.
Yeah.
Human legs and dog
Like
feet.
that's what I'm saying because you said the ones that you've seen had human like legs, but you never talk about like dog feet tracks or I don't know. You gotta ask some questions. I'll be the one to ask the questions.
And that was by our third beer.
Who knows? If a human body can have a dog head,
Yeah,
why couldn't it have dog feet and human legs?
I guess we could make them however we wanted.
Well, who knows? I mean, there could be some of all of the above. I mean,
Yeah,
some could have the human legs and dog feet. Some could have the dog legs and dog feet. I mean,
human
there could be several types.
human arms and dog legs.
Uh-huh.
Well, because you never see Bigfoot footprints with like nails. You just see the toes and foot. You never see like indention of claws or anything
Toenails.
like
Right. Not like my toes.
that. You can climb a tree.
I have toenails.
Bigfoot, Kaylee goes to and has a pedicure, okay?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you ever see feet print with no toenails and then feet print with big toenails following it, you'll know I'm cracking it.
If you lose it in the woods, that just means he went into a tree.
But I've never seen personally canine footprint that I think an animal would weigh over 80 pounds.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything canine. Now, as far as humanish looking, I've seen 3-toed, 5-toed, and 6-toed. And the biggest one I think that me and Sarah measured was with her that day. It was 18 inches.
Wow.
Mom, whenever she was younger, they measured a barefooted print, not a bear, but a person barefooted print, 22 inches long at Granny's.
Wow. Was that Shaq
Yeah.
out there walking around?
that was a big one there. And
Wow.
get this, that guy says 36 to 60, or she says 36 to 60 inch prints.
Yeah.
About misread that. You know, I would think where me and Kaylee walked down there that one day, if I was a creature and I could walk bipedal, I don't think I would when I would walk around the mud and stuff. I think it would be better to be down on all fours to distribute your weight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about how scary this would be. Say you're running where we was at that day, where the mud was just sinking.
Yeah.
And you're trying to run from something, and the mud is sticking on your feet, and your feet's getting heavier and heavier, and you can't really run. But something's chasing you. If it can drop to all fours
You're over.
and distribute its weight, you're 8.
Yeah, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's gonna just outrun your buddy.
But then you said some are smarter than others, so maybe you might be lucky and they'll just continue going on 2 feet.
Well, but then too, Mike, I've heard how incredibly fast they are on 2 feet.
Right. But what about in the mud, though? Would that slow them down? Would they sink, like distributing, the weight on just 2 feet instead of going down to 4?
Or water.
Dana says your dinner.
Yeah, you're the appetizer and the dinner.
Because I know that day me and the boys were down there, that one that climbed that tree, I could see him plainly. He grabbed the limbs and was shaking the whole tree.
Wait, is that the one where
Mm.
they go out into the field and they just stood up, or is that another one?
That one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had to been able to grab the tree to be able to shake it.
Oh yeah.
Right. Wow.
He says, yes, been reading
That's
up on
big.
them. Got fascinating. Apparently, they're in our mountains and cave systems in Solomon Islands and even in Afghanistan, I believe is what they're talking about. Wow. Did you know I done a story the other day that really was interesting to me that they
Mountain
believe that some of
giants.
the first Bigfoot were actually in Arkansas and Oklahoma.
Why here?
I think it's our cave system and the mountains that run through here.
Yeah, we have a lot of caves around here. Like imagine like going and exploring and walking through a cave and then just see that.
Well, yeah. And if they're smart, and even if you do outrun your buddy, if your buddy's bigger and they're smart, they might just be like, don't forget that little one, get the big one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're going to be like, do we want to fight over one?
Uh-oh.
Or do we just want to get the big one and have enough to share?
Hopefully they just stick with the big one. If I was out there, I'd want them to. I'd miss them, but you know.
Right. I don't. I mean, if if they have intelligence.
I mean, I think they do if they can craft
Oh, yeah.
stuff and hide and camouflage and
Build houses.
yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, they're.
Wait, do you think Dogman and like the werewolf? Do you think they would build houses and stuff, or more likely go into caves?
I think they live in caves. I think they probably live in either caves or abandoned barns or buildings or stuff like that.
Or do you think Dogman and Bigfoot have like an understanding where the Dogman have the caves and then the Bigfoot have,
No.
or do they just like?
I think they fight. I think they compete.
Oh,
What-
I think so.
Yeah, I think they fight. I'd like to watch them fight.
That would
I
be
think they're. I think they do territorial. They'd be
Yeah, I-
territorial.
There's a lady that I was talking to, trying to help her with cryptids at her house. They were jumping on her roof and jumping off her
Oh.
roof, trying to come in her house and stuff. And she said that Bigfoot was at her house, and they ended up having some werewolves at her house. She said one night there was a big fight, and after that fight had happened, they heard the werewolves way down in the valley whooping and stuff, and the werewolves stayed at her house. So that made her believe that the werewolves whooped the Bigfoot.
Right.
But you don't know if maybe there was more werewolves than there was Bigfoot too.
That's true.
Do you think Bigfoot have like claws like werewolves do, or do you think they're kind of like us?
I think they're like us. I think they're squared.
So do you think that one of the reasons why the Dogman could win is because it has those?
No, because I think the brute strength of a Bigfoot, he would just like
Mhm.
rip a tree out of the ground and beat you with it.
But like, why would you want to win it? Is it because they have like a group?
There might be more of them.
It might have been like one going on a hunt and
Because I mean, imagine if you're walking somewhere
kind of like an ambush.
and a midget attacks you. I mean, you have a good chance of listening.
Why did you have them?
But if a carload of them pulls up and 12 of them jump out, you're probably going to get whipped.
Or a midget walking in a car, clowns just come out.
Right.
Oh, God. I would run.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't even try.
That's hilarious.
You know, I mean, it's not the size, it's the numbers.
Yeah, it's an ambush.
Yeah.
I mean, if they jump
Yeah.
out ball bats,
I mean,
I'm going to run.
I'm gonna run.
Well, now, okay, now there's been the DNA, that Carpenter, Dave Pilatus, and all them that were part of the Bigfoot. But I haven't heard of any DNA yet of dogmen.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Mm.
I mean,
haven't
they're
heard of
saying that they're saying that Bigfoot has maternal mitochondria, which is female human,
Right.
but the male is unknown. So I don't know.
You know, they also, we're going to get into this later too. Um, me and Brooks, they say also, and I mean, I am going to have to check more into this, that the sirens or the mermaids,
Ooh, that's gonna be my
Mm,
favorite subject.
that they are the women that birthed the Nephilim from the fallen angels,
mm-hmm.
and it's I haven't read it, so I can only say it's allegedly in biblical writing. So I'm not sure on that yet. I'll have to look into that. But if it is, that's very, very interesting.
That'd be interesting.
And yeah, and I've seen videos of people catching fish that have like handmade spears in the fish. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they're just embedded in the fish, but they don't, and it's all nothing that they think a human would make. But that's weird.
Yeah, or they also go after just like males. And remember that video that I showed you of that guy that works on the ship and that huge siren like
Oh, yeah.
singing? Yeah, they only like attract males. And I wonder if that has to do with like,
Well, because that's what they bred with.
yeah,
Hmm.
and they're like wanting to, I guess,
Maybe get even.
yeah.
Because they kill them, don't they? They drown them.
Yeah, they put you in a trance with their voice, they say, and then drown you.
Wow.
Yeah, who knows what's in the ocean?
I think that those things also follow, where we got growled at on that bridge by whatever that creature was that growled at us. Those are the old roads that used to run to the highways a long time ago that horse and carriage, and Model A's and stuff used to follow. So I wonder if those creatures are in those areas because that's
Hmm.
where they were used to seeing people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's because them old roads, they're still through there. It's still, cut out where they can follow them.
Right.
It'd be kind of like a deer. A deer will take the trail that's the easiest to navigate.
Well, and you know that they know
Right.
that laying back there like the back of their hand.
Well, and I still think, I mean, they're curious still about people.
Mountain Patriot says siren legend in my family history at I'm going to get this one wrong, but I think it's Knockdolian Castle.
That's what I was gonna say. Hmm.
Huh.
I've heard a lot of places where they've seen sightings of them and where they're most popular at, so I'll have to go and look.
Yeah, I'd have to check that out.
Yeah, it's mostly like I think it's like next to like Jamaica and stuff like that. Like
So, are sirens the same as the mermaids? Or are they a different creature?
I've heard they're different.
they're different.
They're different.
They kind of have like different tribes. I guess that's what you call them.
Hmm.
I would think they would have to be related.
They say that they're
Mhm.
kind of related, but they said the most dangerous are the sirens and the like mermaids. I guess are like the more standoffish and just living life.
Right.
Try not to be shark bait.
Because they say no, they are. Like if
They are shark bait.
they actually are. Like if you, I don't know if anybody has seen the show because it was on Animal Planet. Like before I even moved here, and their show got, I think they were gonna get sued if they didn't take it off air because they caught something down in their submarine way down there, and they actually had proof of it, and they got a lawsuit, and they were gonna sue them if they didn't take it off air, and they actually caught, I guess what you'd call like a mermaid or something.
Is that the one where the hand came on the?
Yeah, siren.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to
Yeah.
take it off air.
Yeah. I saw the hand come around, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've seen that.
And
That's
they're kind of
creepy.
like people. Like they have to like defend their tribe, I guess, against
Mm-hmm.
other things.
Scott
Mm.
says sirens have had a sex change.
They went from flesh to scales.
Yeah. Wow. So Brooks,
Uh-huh.
I guess we're at the point to where I'm going to let you tell your story of your little visitor you had.
Okay,
Oh my. Okay.
let me get ready.
Very
Okay,
well.
ooh, this was my daughter was about 3 years old, and she'll be 34 this year. So 31 years ago, um, we lived in a mobile home, and the whole time we lived in that mobile home, she hated her bedroom. Never could get her to sleep in her room. Um, it was at the point where I'd put her on the couch, and she wasn't squirming or anything, but she'd just lay there. Well, this one night, I got her in her room, in her bed, and so the way my bed was set up is I could look down the mobile home and I could see through the kitchen, the living room, the hall. Her bedroom was the first bedroom. Then there's the bathroom, and then my son was the last bedroom. So I got her down and I knew she was asleep, so I went in to go to bed. And so I'm laying there looking down the house, and I see her coming out of her room, running through the living room, around the kitchen table, right up to my side of the bed, put both her arms like this on my bed, and was looking at me. And I thought, oh man, there she is. And all of a sudden, it was just a pit of the gut, scared feeling. And I went, oh my God, that's not her.
Mm.
And it wasn't her. And what it was a gray that had come running through the house and put its arms up on the bed, put its chin on its hands, and was looking at me. I've never had such a pit of fear run through me when I realized it wasn't my daughter. And it was like a switch. Boom, I was asleep. Well, when I woke up the next morning, I woke up with that same fear. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I asked my husband, I said, did you see that? Well, he said, see what? You know, he just kind of blew me off. Well, he was a big drinker, so he went to the bar every night. So we went to the bar that night. Well, a friend of ours was out there, and his son-in-law worked as a deputy sheriff in a town 2 towns south of us, same county but 2 towns south. And he said, man, did you hear what the deputies were doing last night? And I said, no, what were they doing? Like, when we lived out in the country, we lived like 3 miles south of town. And he said, oh, they were chasing UFOs all night. And I'm going, okay, because what I saw was a gray. And I looked at my husband and I said, see, something was in our house. And then he looked at me and he said, yeah, I know. He said, I saw it jump up on the bed.
Yes.
And that scared me to death. That was really, really scary. And so that was about the time the internet was coming out. And I thought, Lord, I need to know what these things are, because it was in my house. And that's when I found L.A. Marzulli and learned what they were. They're they're demons. They're
Mm.
not good.
Right.
And
Have they ever
but
bothered you since?
um we stayed in that house till my daughter was 12. She would have a friend. She had her cousin come over one night. This was the last time the cousin ever came. Since then, we had a lot of paranormal activity in that house. I mean, a lot. And her cousin came over and they were playing in her room. And her cousin came screaming out of the room. And I guess she was about 8 or 9 at the time. They were both 8 or 9. And she said, "There's an owl looking at us in the window." Now, since that time, I'd done a lot of research and knew that the Greys would sometimes appear to people as owls. So that was freaky.
Mm.
Wow.
And then one time after I moved from that house, I had one encounter with it, and it was brief. And I just told it, I said, "In the name of Jesus, you cannot come here. You know, I
Mm.
rebuke you." And that was the last time.
Mm.
Wow.
But it scared me really, really bad. Real bad.
Yeah, I don't
I,
blame you.
the only other time I really had that really pit of fear in my stomach, like it goes back to my daughter's bedroom in that trailer. Um, she was right about 11, 12 years old, and she had had a friend spend the night. Well, if she had a friend spend the night, she'd stay in the bedroom. Other than that, I'm talking her whole life, she slept on the couch. She did not want to sleep in that bedroom. And so they came in that night. She had the friend, and she said, "There's somebody talking from the closet."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, what are they saying?" And they said, "Psst, psst, hey, where's your brother?" And I'm going, "Okay, girls, really?" You know, I'm
Wow.
thinking they're getting, you know, silly. So the next night I told my daughter, told her, I said, "I'm going to sleep in your room and see what happens." And she said, "Okay." She said, "You can sleep in the bed and I'll sleep down on the floor." I said, "All right." Well, she had a clock on her table. She was down here. Well, I woke up about 5 o'clock that morning and it was still dark. Looked at the clock, and what I heard was, I mean, I froze. I heard, "Psst, psst, hey," clear as a bell. And I mean, I was frozen until the sun came up. I couldn't move. It scared me so bad.
Mm.
And then I told her, I said, "I heard it." And she said, "See, I told you. I told you." So, yeah, those were the main two times that I was really, really scared. Really scared. But we
Mm.
had a lot of paranormal activity in that house once I had that gray there. It really ramped up.
I was at my father-in-law's house at the time, and he yelled at me one night, and I went outside, and there was a big white owl up in the tree, looking
Mm,
inside of the front door. And the yard was mowed really well because we would pick up pecans. And he shot the owl, and it fell behind the tree.
hmm
And when we walked back there,
Who's going?
there was no owl.
No, wow.
We couldn't
Yeah.
find it anywhere.
hmm
But when I was little, I told people about my bedroom. I had things crawling around on the floor, And I had my closet light come on one night, and a lady walk out of it in a red dress, lift my head up, lay my head back down, and then walk back into the closet.
Mm.
And then later, the people that lived there after we did, we wasn't even talking about it, and they was talking to my dad, and he's like, "Yeah, my daughter don't like sleeping in that first room to the left because she said there's a lady in a red gown in there that keeps bothering her." And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at Dad and I said, "Told you."
Yeah. In my daughter's room, I'd spent the night when her and her dad, my kid's dad, when we were separating. I stayed in her room, and her bed was up again in the corner, up against the wall, and I was facing the wall, and we had a little Yorkie, and I was in there by myself. She was spending the night with somebody else. I was at the house alone, and the dog started barking. Well, I left the porch light on, and the porch light shined right in the window. The window was right by the bed, so it lit up the whole bedroom. And the dog started barking, and I turned over. I kept thinking, I really don't want to look. And I turned over, and there was a man standing there, and he had on one of those flannel red plaid shirts, like, they come in blue and red, but they're those checkered
Mhm.
Like a
squares.
like a flannel.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And he had on jeans, but he looked like he came from a different time. But he was standing there, and the dog was barking at him. And I could see him because the light came in through the window. I could clearly see him. And come to find out, both my kids had ran into him in the house. Like, they would come out of the room and go down the hall, and he'd be standing there in the hall, and they'd go, "Whoa,
Mhm.
yeah."
Wow.
Well, they do say, like, spirits like that, I guess demons, that they sometimes say that they look like they're from, like, the, what is it, the Western days, or
Mm-hmm.
they always look like they're not from this century.
Why
Mm-hmm.
should do
I think,
that?
I think there was a lot of, um, I guess, like, evil people back then, and then demons have been on this earth for I don't know how many years, so maybe they just pick up things. Back then, that's how they want to be viewed as.
I didn't know till a while back that movie, The Shining,
Mm-hmm.
is based on a true story out of a motel in Kansas.
Oh, great.
Hmm.
I didn't know that till I was reading the other day.
Like, how is it based on a true story? Like,
It really happened.
Hmm.
That's what we usually do.
what was he, whoa, can't speak. Was he possessed, or was he just mental?
I think he was possessed because,
Yeah, I think he was possessed.
yeah, he went to the bar and there was no alcohol left in there. And there was a bartender served him and he got drunk.
He was a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
He was drunk. And the two
Mm-hmm.
little twin girls,
Yeah. Then
Mm-hmm.
the blood came.
yeah, the guy that was in the room with the mask on, he killed that
Mm-hmm.
lady, I think is what he done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he was, well, I guess never mind. If he was possessed, then I guess he could die, because he died of.
Froze to death.
Yeah.
He got lost in
Mm-hmm.
the maze.
Yeah, she got
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and what's weird is I went to visit my cousin in uh Portland, Oregon, and they took me to Mount Hood, and they said, we want to take you up there because it's really pretty. They'd take me to Mount St. Helens and all that. And I'm walking up there, and I told my cousin-in-law, my cousin's husband, I said, "Man, this place really looks familiar." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Have you ever been here before?" And I said, "No, no, I've never been here." And then I said, "This reminds me of The Shining." And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "The Shining?" And I said, "Yeah, the movie." And he said, "Well, I don't know." So we walked in there, and sure enough, as we walked in there, that was where they had filmed The Shining part of it. And
Oh,
there was stuff, there was T-shirts and everything that had The Shining on it. And he said, "You were right." And I said, "Yeah." I'm sitting there going, "How could I have been here? I've never been here." And it was from that movie. Yeah,
That would creep me
that was
out.
I
pretty
you
cool.
know that movie though, it has a lot of memories for me because me and Dad we watched it the first time I ever watched it.
I watched it with you.
Yeah, I finally got her to watch
That
it.
movie creeped me out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was too
Well,
too. I mean, it was. I guess it was scary because it was realistic.
well, the thing
Mm-hmm.
that creeped me out is whenever he tried to break into the bathroom, and it said, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah.
Oh
See
yeah.
what Shill said.
Yeah,
Here's
here's
Johnny.
Johnny, and then his face gets
Yeah.
in there, and he's like screaming.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Shelley Duvall was great in that movie.
Why so serious?
Well, if it's based on a true story, then God was watching over her because he posted it, and she got out of the maze.
Yeah. What was it? He was typing all play. Let's see. No, all play, no fun makes Jack a dull boy or something that he kept
Yeah.
typing on the typewriter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hundreds of
Oh,
pages of that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an author, wasn't he?
Candace says
Hmm.
she's had encounters. Also, Candace, have you had paranormal encounters or cryptid encounters? Yeah, I would like to check that place out too.
I wouldn't.
Scott says red rum, red rum.
Ugh.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh gosh, Mountain Patriot says she'd like to have that kind of job. I would not. You know, when I ride down security, I worked at a mall and I was in there at night by myself, and I saw some stuff in there I wish I hadn't seen.
Mm.
Ain't that weird how like in all places it was a mall? Like it could be like mall stores,
It
movie
was,
theaters.
yeah, but there was a lot of evil stuff in the mall because
Well, yeah,
we had a place that sold magical rocks and Ouija boards and
yeah.
spell books, and
But
Mm.
why would movie theaters have it?
then we had a guy that walked inside one day, threw all of his stuff in the fountain, and it blew his head
Oh
off.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You told me that, but why would it? Because you hear some people say that, like security guards would go into like the movie theater to like scope it out, make sure people aren't in there hiding and stuff, and then like hear
Oh, we
bangs
did.
in the stalls or something.
Yeah, we went down to the movies one night after closing because we heard something banging, and the managers were cleaning, and they said, "Hey, there's something in movies number 7 down there banging." And we went down there, and in the rooms you have these hard like partitions hung up, and behind them is like your wiring and all that kind of stuff. And we got to looking back there, and we actually arrested a guy. He was back there, and he had been living in there for 3 months behind those curtain things. And what he
wow.
would do is when people would leave, he would dig the food out of the trash and the
Ugh,
drinks, and that's how he was surviving because it was warm
wow.
in there and cool in there.
Well,
Right.
I think if a movie theater could be haunted, I think it's either if like, cause I've heard that there's been shootings at movie theaters, and then if like they're playing like those demonic movies there, like the Exorcist and stuff like that, I think that just welcomes that in there. So, and then people are crazy enough to go and watch it.
Mm.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. It was a we saw we took a picture of a little kid walking down food court one night, and we knew that it was an apparition. It was a demon because we had all the motion detectors turned on that would trip the alarms,
Hmm.
and we could sit in there and watch it walk, and it never would trip the alarms.
Wow.
I would have been like,
Oh, we had to walk down those dark corridors by ourselves at night and stay in there by yourself.
no, 'cause I remember you told me that you were in there, and was it? Did you tell me it was you that was in there, or it was one of your buddies? And they were walking down, checking everything, and then they seen or heard it was someone in the bathroom
Oh, that's me.
banging the stalls and everything.
Yeah, I was leaving one night. Whenever we would leave, we have the final alarm that you set. When you set the final alarm, it arms all of the motion detectors, all the doors, and everything. So that way, that when you shut the door, you have 30 seconds from the time you set it till you shut the door. The whole mall arms. I
Run.
walked, I walked past the bathrooms and I heard one of the toilets flush. And I said, "Out, somebody snuck in here." So I go over, go in the bathrooms because when the cleaning crew would clean the bathrooms at night, they leave the doors open. So I went in there and I didn't see anybody, didn't see anybody, didn't see anybody. Nobody was there. So I set the main alarm and I had to walk probably about, I don't know, 10 feet to the main door to go outside to shut it. And then the whole mall arms 30 seconds later. Whenever I was walking back past the bathrooms after I'd armed it, went to shut the door, it goes, "Goodbye," like a little kid.
uh,
And I just shut the door and I was like, well, if there's somebody in there, it'll set the alarm off. And the alarm never went off that night.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye. Yeah. See
I
ya.
told my kid,
And it just makes you dread, and we was telling people what was going on. Well, we had this guy working for us. He worked in he was a military police officer and he was working for us. And he was just a regular officer. I was his captain at the time. And he's like, yeah, I'll do the night shift. I'll do the night shift. It gives me time to do my homework. And he was taking a computer class and all that. And I was like, hey, that works out.
oh, I remember this story.
We got a call. We was on our way home, me and the lieutenant. We get a call from the police department, and they're like, y'all need to go back to the mall. You've got a security alarm going off. We go back, and the mall doors are wide open. And we're like, what in the hell's going on? This ain't supposed to be like this. So we go back, and we go to the office, and he's not in the office. So the first thing we start doing is reviewing footage, to find out what happened last and where he's at. The dude walks out of the office. He looks at J.C. Penney's, which was one big old glass front, and he goes like this, and he turns and just, hauls ass. He's running so hard. You can watch him streak through center court. He streaks down East Wing, down the public hallway, just swinging his arms. He's moving. He hits those double doors, goes outside, the cameras catch him, and he runs plumb out of view toward the truck stop. Never
Wow.
came back. We called him and we're like, dude, what are you doing, man? He lost his baton. He lost one of his magazines to his gun.
Oh god.
We're like, what
Wow.
are you doing? He's like, you'll never believe me if I tell you. And we're like, well, you're going to have to give us something because the police are here and you've lost, your ammunition. We have to account for each bullet on you. And
Right.
we're like, you're going to have to come back. We're going to have to do a report. And he's like, whenever I walked out of the office, now we couldn't see the glass that he looked at. We could only see him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when he walks out and he goes like, and then runs, what he says that he saw is he said he's seen an old inside of the glass inside of JCPenney's. He said, I saw a campfire with old horses and old Civil War soldiers. And he said, one of them looked at me and drew his sword at me and started walking at me.
Oh my gosh.
He put it in the report, and he was so scared he quit.
Yeah.
So the captain, which was from the police department, was there, and he's like, dude, I know it sounds crazy, but he said, I believe him.
Yeah.
He said if you watch him, something really did scare him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Who runs that fast for nothing and drops?
yeah,
Losing everything.
oh, he was cut corners.
He was running like a track star.
And whenever you leave like that, you can face charges. If somebody, because the movies are still open sometimes, somebody has a heart attack, you're not there. I don't know if it's everywhere, but in Oklahoma, security officers carry a cleat license, the same as police. They all carry cleat licenses, and we're also first responders. So if something would have happened and he would have left and there would have been nobody there to administer first aid, or, you can be liable for that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I believe he saw something that really messed with him because he quit.
I mean,
Yeah.
And later on, I talked to his dad because his dad used to be a what we call mall walker, and that kid ended up being locked up in Veneta, Oklahoma, for the criminally insane in the prison
Wow.
over there. He really did. I mean,
Wow.
he went crazy over it.
was he Christian?
Wow.
He was.
Yeah.
That's wow.
So I mean, he had to see something.
Yeah.
Did he see it once, or did he just keep seeing it, and that's why he got locked up?
I don't know. His dad just said he didn't go into detail. He just said that he was placed over there for it's a prison for the mentally insane.
Is he still in there?
I
Huh.
don't know. You know,
Huh.
we was talking about wouldn't that be scary to go over there and visit that prison and do a walkthrough of it?
Where he's at?
Ooh.
That is
Mm-mm.
a scary prison. Remember, you went over there with us to get donuts that day, where the grave's at with the no
Oh
headstones.
yeah.
That prison.
Uh,
Yeah, all them people in there are criminally insane.
See, why would you want
mm.
to go there?
I wouldn't because I've heard stories about. I had a buddy that worked in there, and he said, "I will." I about said it. He said, "I will never effing work in there." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Dude,
They're crazy.
they're all crazy." He said they're supernaturally strong,
Mm-hmm.
and once they know your name, they have a rule over there. You never say your name,
Yeah.
and you don't wear a name badge on you because if they ever get your name, he said they will lay in there and they will scream your name all night and moan it.
So it's kind
Uh,
of an insane asylum.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is.
But it's a prison for
wow.
them. Because there was one guy in there, they released him, and he used to walk around town all the time. And the dude had chopped his mom up with an axe. And they said that he was rehabilitated. And this guy was big. He was like 6'8", 300 pounds. And he'd walk town.
Mm.
Well, later on, he ended up getting arrested because he ended up beating his dad to death with a ball peen hammer.
Mm.
And he's back over there. Uh, we
Bet
could
he
probably
doesn't get out this time.
Don't even say
Yeah.
we could probably go and visit the place.
we probably
I'm
could.
not gonna go visit an insane asylum.
Is it empty now?
It's they run half of it. Uh,
Okay.
the old part of it, I'm telling you, just to look at it is creepy.
I wouldn't.
Right.
Just looking at it
Yeah,
makes
Kaylee-
you want to stay.
Yeah, we showed Kaylee. It's big old buildings that are
Mhm.
painted pink
Yeah.
with bars on the windows, and a lot of those people back then were mistreated, uh,
Mhm.
tied down to beds and stuff.
And
They
just drugged all the
yeah,
time.
they were drugged and killed, and
So it's
Right.
like a movie's really.
their their graveyard. We went and showed Kaylee. They don't even have markers or nothing, headstones or nothing. All it is a graveyard that is grown up with a sign on the front that says, "Please let us rest in peace."
Didn't
Wow.
Sarah say that they only knew who it was by numbers? That they only called them by numbers, but they didn't have the decency to give them a name.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like numbers, is what they used. They didn't even call them by their names.
Wow. That's sad.
Oh, my buddy said on a full moon night, he said, whenever I worked, we always had a saying: you never say it's a quiet night. That would jinx everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So on a full moon night, you would never say it's a full moon night. You just on full moon nights, we really do bring extra officers in because that night's going to be crazy. Something about the moon. Well, he
Right.
said that prison was the same way. Full moon night, he said they'd never sleep. They'd scream, beat on the walls, put
Mm.
urine and stuff, throw it on you when you walk past, fecal matter.
Oh,
They'd bite you.
Mm.
Some of them, he said, were so strong that there's no way that you'd have to get a team to go move them because I mean they have what they call uh, riot teams that
Mhm.
go in.
yeah, I started beating them.
Yeah, he said 2 or 3 of them could get hurt
Yeah.
trying to take one of them down.
I wonder how
Wow.
many officers or doctors that went in there and got like fecal matter all over them got diseases.
Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh, like you
No.
would think after so long they wear hazmat suits or something.
Hey, Mountain Patriot, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. And everybody go check her channel out.
Hi.
She has a really good channel.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Who is that? Mountain Patriot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless I just missed it.
she's busy on her other channel. She stays real busy. I think she's going to do a live with you and Sarah whenever y'all can get it worked out and everything. When I don't have to be Sarah. But yeah, it's a scary looking place. I would hate to think that my loved one was ever put in there.
I think a lot of us, even nowadays, just mistreat them for no reason.
They do. Because they think that they can't talk, or a lot of them can't communicate, so they're like, well, they can't tell on us,
Yeah, well, they can, but I think they drug them so much where they can't.
Well, then there's you got these, and I know from personal experience, I've seen it happen. You have these med aids that steal their medication off their carts, and then they sell it or they take it, and I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy. They go and you win. I mean, most of them are not even, what is it? They're like, they're all together in there, so they don't call the cops on each other. They're just like,
oh yeah, it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
It is, and it doesn't make it right at all. I disagree with that. I don't condone that. I probably, well, I'm gonna be quiet. I can't talk. Get me ranting in a minute and get myself in trouble. Moving on. Yeah, it's a pretty scary place. I would never want to go there.
Yeah, no.
That's just about all I've got tonight, unless anybody's got any questions for any of us. I'll try to answer them the best I can. If I don't know, I'll make it up.
Just make sure it's all caps.
You'll lie.
We will lie. As long as we can keep those numbers up, we'll lie and do whatever it takes.
Oh.
Susan, I can't do it tonight, but I promise you it's coming. In the future, I will make you very happy. And I would like to also personally invite everybody in the chat tonight. If you're not subscribed to our channel, I'd like to personally invite you to subscribe to us. Ring the bell, select all so you get all of our latest uploads and hang out with us. Also, if you're not joined to our Wide Open Adventures family over there, I'd like to invite you to come on over there. We use that channel a lot as a place to relax away from most of the seriousness here and the darkness. And I'd like to invite you to come over and subscribe there and check out our recipes and our outings and our adventures and stuff. It's going to get a lot better. But it's a more lighter, I guess, a lighter family oriented family.
You see more of the laughing and being weird and having fun.
Not that we're not weird here, but
well, we're weird. But you see it more over there.
But yeah, a lot of people's telling me don't hold it. At this point, Herbert, I believe you were a judge at one point, so you probably understand that I can't talk right now until the time is right. There is a time coming, and I'm working on things. And as soon as it's done, I promise it'll be done. Just, Scott says it best right here. If I can get it to work. Where'd it go? There it is. But it will happen. Mike, question for you. Okay, Shell, I'm ready.
Scott knows how to always say it right.
Yep, Scott hit the nail on the head on that one.
Every time.
Yeah.
We're going to do a lot of exorcisms that night. We'll put it like that.
Gosh.
We're going to break out the holy
water.
water.
You have some way of just saying things.
Okay, watch for Shell's question.
Well, I see her saying hi to Chris. So. And you're alive, must have done something right.
Okay, there we go. I think this is it. He said, yes, I understand. Hang in there, brother. Thank you, Herbert. That means a lot. And Herbert, thank you for your service, sir. We appreciate that.
Yes.
very dangerous and hard job. So I think a lot of our judges aren't respected enough. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Shell said, if you run into a werewolf point blank. If I run into a werewolf point blank,
We did.
we have. I ran at it with the light, yelling, "Do you see that?" Trying to film it.
She
Uh,
asked. She asked, "Do you go for a knife or a gun?"
it would depend on the distance.
Or how many are around?
Well, speaking combat wise, if somebody is within 21 feet of you, I personally will use a knife because by the time you draw your weapon, they're going to be on you. That's just statistically speaking. But if I know somebody's a threat or something is a threat and it's coming at me before it gets to the 21 feet, I'm already going to have my weapon of choice out that I'm planning on using.
Oh yeah.
She said before or after soiling your shorts.
I think you probably would do it simultaneously.
Yeah, do it at the same time.
And then the advantage goes to you because it's going to be slipping in it while it tries to fight you.
Well, maybe if you do it before, it'll run away. So,
Right. Oh, we got another question we must have missed. They said good question for cryptids. And
well, I seen one.
where's it at?
We're right here. I think that's the one.
What about the Bigfoot pregnancy? Yeah, I seen that question that you asked. I believe, and I would say that they probably do 9 months gestation. I guess what you call it. Period. That's right. Right. Gestation. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't sound right. I'm getting tired. Yeah, I think that probably 9 months. Cal carries for 9 months. I think that they would be somewhere around
Well,
that.
what about dogman? Because dogs don't go for 9 months.
Do they have one
Yeah.
baby or do they have litters?
That's the question. But if they're built like a human, would it just be one dog? I guess
I
that's
don't
like a
know.
child,
I
and then it
haven't
grows
been
up like a
on a birth lately.
like,
Yeah.
like a human werewolf thing.
I don't know. What do you think, Brooks? Would a werewolf have a litter, or are they going to have like twins, or like humans?
I don't know. Possible that they could have a litter. Their litters may consist of a small litter, maybe two or three. Um, or they could have. I don't know. I really hadn't seen one have a litter. Or
You like to think that?
What happened is okay. Did you say the werewolf and the dogman are two different things, or the
Now
same?
you're gonna get me in trouble.
Wait, because I said I was gonna say this because I was saying if they're two different things, maybe the werewolf more dog-like had litters, and the dog man would go with one.
Why would a werewolf be more werewolf?
Because
No,
they
Tracy.
say more of the werewolf is more
Yeah.
dog-like, I guess, and the dog man is more human. I guess.
Well, the Shawmen say that the dogman and the werewolf are the same thing, and the Googway, and that the white people made up the dogman name. Because when I said dogman to them,
Oh yeah, they got mad. They said
they
don't
got
do
mad and laughed at
that.
me.
Yeah, they're like, don't call
And he said, "Do not call it a dogman. That is the white man's name for it." He said, "The Googway, the werewolf, and your dogman," he said, "are the same thing." And that's when he went into the dog thing. He's like, you have little dogs that have snouts, and you got little dogs that don't. Pugs and
Yeah.
little dogs. He said you got big dogs, you got Rottweilers and Great Danes.
boxers.
Some have
Mhm.
tails, some don't. He said they're the same thing, they're just different.
Yeah, a different breed.
And they pretty much got pretty mad at me over that.
Gosh, why
But
do you know?
Herbert says don't fight fair either. I agree with that, Herbert. My grandpa used to always tell me there is no rules in a fight.
Just protect yourself.
Yeah.
The only rule is
Yeah.
do whatever you can to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May the best man win.
Yeah.
Randy says, "Are any werewolf hunters in the room tonight?"
Him.
Um, anybody else got any questions?
Well, technically,
Mhm.
since we call her a werewolf, I caught her. So I guess we both are werewolf hunters.
She's a weirdo. If something ever happens, though, at least we got enough right here to make a stew.
They know.
Poor baby dog.
I don't see any more questions. I bet y'all's got a lot of questions. They're just some I can't answer right now. I would love to. Yeah. Yep, things that make you go, huh? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Do they have one, two, or litters? If they have,
Yeah.
if I was guessing, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say they probably have like a human, because I think if they were having packs, I think we would have a lot more of them in smaller areas.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because I've seen more
Yeah.
Bigfoot documentaries and people talking more about Bigfoots than werewolves, I guess.
Shell, I will investigate that. I'll see what I can find out about that. If there's, I don't know that we would even have any literature on that right now.
Like, what do you see more of? Do you
Me?
see more werewolf documentaries or more, or Bigfoot documentaries or more werewolf documentaries? I see more Bigfoot.
I think Bigfoot's more
Yeah.
prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Werewolf stew at Mike's house.
Yep, Scott's right. It's all coming.
No, Randy. No werewolf stew.
Yeah, Scott's right. It's all coming. And I'm gonna tell you all this. I want to go out just a little bit. Whenever I do what I'm gonna do, I promise you, y'all are gonna see things in a different light, because there's gonna be a lot of darkness brought to light, and I think a lot of people that left are gonna come back, and I think
Right.
that it's probably gonna be a lot more come back that left, because when I'm done, I just don't see how you could follow that ideology. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
Oh, hey, God bless y'all. Okay, Mike, like said, come to pass.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, it's true. He says it will all come to pass, just like the good book says.
Yes,
It will.
it
It will
will.
come to pass.
Yeah.
Yep. Stay subscribed, guys. Make sure to subscribe for 24 hours. Whenever I do that live, it will be all at once. And if you're not subscribed for 24 hours, you will not be able to comment during that live. So make sure you are subscribed if you want to comment and ask me questions whenever I release that video. Also, if you're
And
not, huh?
and trolls will be banned.
Yeah, trolls. Yeah, trolls will be removed immediately.
Yep.
If you're not a member of the channel, you can now become a member of the channel through the membership, or you can join our Patreon. Our Patreon, you get extra photographs put in there, extra short videos, updates. You're not going to get anything that everybody else won't get, but you're going to have an earlier access to things like coming events, photographs, things like that. To our members, not the Patreon, but our regular members, I put some new emojis out yesterday, and also there is some emojis and the other things. What are they called? I went blank.
Emojis.
Yeah, there's emojis
There's emojis.
and there's the other ones. But anyways, guys, I
the gifts.
put new photographs up for y'all to use there also, and we'll be expanding that also in the future.
Oh, wait.
So thank you to our members and to our Patreon members. We're probably going to be doing a video coming out pretty soon. It's going to be a members only video, and it will also be released in the Patreon. So both of you guys will have access to that. But I don't see any more questions tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It was nice to come back again to be able to spend some time with you guys. I've missed everybody. I will be back just as soon as I can to do regular shows. Thank you for supporting Kaylee and Sarah. I ask that you all continue to support them. The videos that we've been releasing this week, the pre-recorded videos I had that we're releasing, we've had back for a rainy day, have come in handy. Thank you so much for watching those and causing them to trend, and the numbers have been high. You guys are awesome. You're a great family. Abnormal Investigations is going nowhere but the top. And again, I thank you all so very much for just your support. And I promise you, it's going to be worth it when everything comes out. You're going to see a whole different light than what's been projected right now. The uh,
Yeah.
the deception will soon fall, and you're going to see the face of evil. I promise. But until then, keep your head on a swivel. And I'm going to add a little part to this. I'm going to say, don't be something's dinner, but I'm also going to say, God bless each and every one of you, your families, and may you all have a great Thanksgiving. If I don't get to see you all before then or hang out with you, be safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye, guys. God bless.
Good night, everybody.